When the sun goes down on the African savanna, most birds vanish into the trees, into thick cover, into places a predator would need to work to find them. But one small bird has nowhere to hide, because its entire world, day and night, is the back of a sleeping giant. Tonight, that giant is a rhino, lying still in the dark grass, and the young oxpecker perched on its shoulder is about to learn the one lesson that decides whether small things survive on the plains. The lesson of what happens when the giant closes its eyes, and the bird cannot afford to close its own. By day, life on a giant is almost simple. From its perch, the oxpecker sees everything: grass bending under a hidden approach, dust rising on the horizon, shadows stretching where they shouldn't. Height is safety. A rhino's back is the best seat on the savanna, and for a bird this size, that seat is the difference between a long life and a short one. The partnership is old and it is fair. The bird strips ticks from folds of skin the rhino cannot reach with any hoof or horn. It picks at wounds before they can turn, keeping infection from finding a way in, and in exchange, it rides, fed, sheltered, carried above the tall grass, where the things that hunt small birds cannot easily reach. But night changes the terms of that deal completely. A rhino asleep in the open is not the same animal it is at noon. Its eyesight, already poor by daylight, is close to useless in the dark. Its guard is down in a way it never is when the sun is up. Full stomach, low heart rate, deep and heavy rest after a day of grazing. It does not stay half awake to protect the bird on its back. It simply sleeps, the way giants have slept on these plains for longer than the bird's entire family line has existed. For a young oxpecker, this is unfamiliar ground. It has spent its short life leaning on its host's size and strength, trusting that nothing bothers something that big. But size means nothing to a leopard that hunts by scent and silence, one padded foot at a time, climbing without a sound onto the backs of animals 10 times its own weight in search of an easy, unguarded meal. And a small bird that falls asleep the way it always has, tucked in tight, eyes shut, guard fully down, may not open them again. Tonight, for the first time, this oxpecker will have to learn to protect itself in the one place it has never needed to before, the dark. As the light fades to orange and then to gray, the young oxpecker does what oxpeckers have always done at the end of a day. It looks for a place to roost close to its rhino, tucking itself into the familiar fold of skin near the shoulder, the same spot it has chosen every single night of its short life. Routine, comfort, no reason yet to think tonight is any different. But it is different. At the tree line, almost 50 meters out, something moves, low to the ground, unhurried, watching. The oxpecker doesn't yet have the years of experience to name exactly what it's seeing in the failing light, but its body already knows. Its small heart rate spikes. Its feathers pull in tight against its skin, an instinctive attempt to look smaller, quieter, less like something worth noticing. Every reflex it was hatched with is delivering the same message at once. Not tonight, not this spot, not this close to the ground. Here is the first real surprise of this lesson, and one most people never learn about a bird this small. An oxpecker does not sleep the way most birds do. It cannot afford to. Like many birds that live under constant threat, oxpeckers are capable of something called unihemispheric sleep, resting one half of the brain while the other half stays quietly alert, one eye technically open even while the bird appears to be asleep. It is a biological compromise between rest and vigilance, a trick evolved specifically for animals that can never fully lower their guard. Tonight, for the first time in its life, the young oxpecker leans on that ability. Instead of settling into the low, warm hollow near the rhino's legs, the softest spot, the one it has always preferred, it chooses higher ground, a perch on the shoulder, closer to open air, further from where jaws could reach without warning, with a clear line of retreat straight up into the dark sky. It is a small decision, a few feet of difference in where a bird chooses to close its eyes, but it is the first time in this oxpecker's life that it has made a survival choice entirely on its own. No giant to lean on for the answer, no older birds nearby to copy, no flock to follow into the right spot. So, just instinct, tested for the first time in the dark. The shape at the tree line moves again, closer now, and the fading light finally reveals what it is. A leopard, low, fluid, deliberate, its eyes fixed not on the sleeping rhino, far too large and dangerous a target to challenge directly, but on the small silhouette perched high on its back. A young oxpecker, caught asleep and alone in the dark, would be exactly the kind of meal a leopard prefers. Quiet, quick, and gone before anything larger even wakes to notice. This is where the lesson sharpens into something the oxpecker will carry for the rest of its life, however long that turns out to be. Safety was never really about the size of the giant beneath it. It never was. It was about staying awake to the world around it, even, especially, when everything about its size and situation says the watching is someone else's job. The rhino sleeps on, unaware. The responsibility, tonight, belongs entirely to the bird. The leopard closes the distance in silence, each paw placed with total precision, until it is within a few body lengths of the rhino's flank. One more step, one more shift of weight to load the spring. The oxpecker, at this range, would have almost no warning at all if it were sleeping the way it used to. But it isn't. The alert half of its brain, one eye faintly open even in rest, catches the change. A shift in the shadow, a compression in the grass, a stillness that wasn't there a second before. In the exact instant the leopard gathers itself to strike, the oxpecker explodes upward off the rhino's shoulder with a sharp, hissing alarm call, the same warning cry it has given 100 times under the bright sun, now tearing through total darkness for the first time. The sound does what size alone never could. The rhino, jolted from deep sleep, lurches upright with a startled snort and a heavy stamp of its feet, not out of any understanding of the danger, but pure animal reflex, reacting violently to the sudden noise and motion beside it. It doesn't need to understand, it only needs to move, and that is enough. The leopard, its approach broken and its cover blown, peels away into the black tree line, empty-handed, already searching elsewhere for a quieter chance. The oxpecker circles once above the rhino's back, still calling into the dark, wings beating hard against the adrenaline still flooding its small body. Then, slowly, it settles again, not back into its old spot near the legs, but higher still, on the shoulder, eyes, or at least one of them, open to the night. It did not survive because its giant was strong enough to protect it. The rhino never even saw the danger. It survived because, for the first time in its life, it never fully closed its eyes. By morning, the danger is nothing more than a passing memory, carried in the reflexes of one small bird. The rhino grazes exactly as it always does, utterly unaware of how close the night came to ending differently, or of the debt it now owes to something a fraction of its size. But the oxpecker riding on its back is not quite the same bird it was at dusk. It has learned, in a single night, the lesson every oxpecker eventually learns, usually only once, because there is rarely a second chance to learn it wrong. The giant beneath it can carry it, feed it, shelter it, warm it against the cold of the plains, but it cannot watch the dark for it. That job, every single night for the rest of its life, belongs to the small bird alone, and so it will ride on, day after day, doing the work it was born to do, clearing ticks, cleaning wounds, calling out warnings into daylight it can see clearly. But somewhere in its instincts now, a little sharper than before, is the memory of a leopard in the dark, and the one eye that stayed open when everything else in the world had gone to sleep. Half the danger an oxpecker ever faces never happens in the bright, easy hours of daylight at all. It happens in the hours when the giant it depends on is fast asleep, and the small bird on its back is the only thing standing watch over both of their lives. If you want to see how this same young oxpecker faces its very first storm, its first rival for a giant of its own, and the hardest test of its short life so far, that journey continues in the next chapter of The Life of an Oxpecker. Watch the wild the way it truly is, small, fierce, and never, ever finished.